Hey, what is up YouTube? So in this video I have this stopwatch I think, and yes, we are going to be working with electricity in this video so that we can kind of get an idea of how electricity works. So first, before we start, I'm going to start by showing you what each color means so that you can so that you can fully understand the meaning of each color and how it is going to work with our circuit. Okay, so first of all, red means positive, while black means negative. And sometimes, such as some car batteries, they'll actually make green to be your negative. So negative is just green is just your other alternative for negative. So this one you can kind of count it out, since it's really not that important, but just in case, sometimes green will be negative. Sometimes it will be a negative and a green one, but that won't really mean anything because a green one will just be something else, and black will always be negative, always. Green it's like a variable, it can actually change. So recap, a variable is a value that can change according to the circumstances. So here I'm just going to leave the definition on for a few seconds. Okay, there. So now, knowing all these colors, we can easily identify our two colors that are given for our stopwatch. So we have a red, which means positive, and our black, which means. But where can you actually find power to supply this? Well, actually, finding power to supply this isn't really at all that hard. We can start by using this battery, since this is our positive and this is our negative. And just recap from middle school or high school, depending where you took this lesson, we are going to build a circuit if we use the battery, because it's battery. So this is how a circuit works. So you have the power over here. So as you see, I set it up as positive and negative. So the flow will go from the positive and all the way to a negative, and that is how you will supply this. And the thing that we're supplying energy to is the load, and as you remember, this is a load and the battery is just two lines, which I have drawn here. So in this case, our load will be this. So you could just imagine it like that. So we are going to be using a battery, then we're going to do something more extreme that is going to be a fun activity. So yeah. So for this, I'm just going to skip the battery and I'm going to move on to this. So this, if you knew, or if you have looked at your phone's battery, there's actually a negative and a positive, which is powered by this, because inside this cable there are negative and positive cables. Yes, there are other cables, but for this we're just going to be focusing on these cables, and we're going to cover the rest up with electrical tape so that nothing happens. So we're going to start off by peeling this cable, which is as simple as grabbing scissors and just cutting it in half, really having no mercy. Though it has to be a charger that you will not use anymore. Or you could go back to one of my videos and see how to repair your charger. So bam. I tore the charger, so it's a decent size to test out. So we will need a cube that supplies low watts to not overclock this. So now we're just going to peel this off. So I'm just going to put pause for this part of the video. So this is how the cable should look like after you peel it off. So these cables on the outside that are gray don't really matter, so you could remove those, or you could just leave them on. They're just conductors for electricity to flow through easily. And they also have this little aluminum thing. You just remove that. And then you could remove all that, except the cables that come in color. So if you decide to simplify your life by taking this thing off, then this is how it should look. So as you can tell, we have our black, white, red, and green. As I told you from our worksheet, green can be, if there's a black is always going to be a negative. And if there's a black in a cable system, that means that green is not your negative. It is acting as something else. Though as for red is always marking positive. So from this, we'll just need to tear open our red and our negative. So all you basically have to do is just like scratch it with your fingers if you find that to be easier. And when you're done, it should look like. And so that they don't disturb me, well, this is how they're supposed to look like. And so that they don't disturb me, I decided to tape the other cables down. So now, oh, and also whenever I do this, I usually like to curl up the cables so that nothing really, there's no loose cables. So now, what we want to do is do a simple kindergartner activity, match colors. So I'm going to put my reds together like this. If you notice, I did curl them up and our blacks like this. And now I'm just going to put tape. Since this is not going to be used long term, we could just use 99-cent tape from Walmart, from Penjel. And when you're done with that, it should look like this. If you decide to put electrical tape, it's alright. But since I'm just doing this clock, really it's nothing important. But you could also try it on other electronics, such as connect the cables to connect the pencil sharpener or such other things, which for that you will need electrical tape. But since this is small, we can use $1 tape. So I separated both sides with tape, meaning for the black I used one piece of tape and for the red another one, then I joined them together with one piece of tape. So now it should look like this. So now all we need to do is get a low volt cube, which for me, I actually have it on my desk. So now for the moment of truth. So I'll just connect this over here. And I am going to record the moment. And bam. See, it works. So now we could just adjust it to our desired time, which seems impossible. And that is how you use negative and positive terminals. And if you do not believe me, look, I'm going to just connect the thing and the thing will be gone. See? And you could actually apply this to many different things, such as this, for example. If you notice, this wire is thinner and this wire is thicker. Why? Because I separated these two, and I separated these two, then I connected one side of each to each other. Then again, I did like what I did to the negative and the positive. I divided them, then I put them together. So despite the electrical prongs that you see every single day, despite you not seeing them as negatives and positives, those cables still carry negatives and positives, such as this, though this was a simpler way to teach. And now you know that these cables also contain negatives and positives such as other colors, and in this video, you also learned your colors for negatives and positives, and you learned how a circuit worked. Which, for this video, we didn't actually get to a circuit because a circuit requires a battery, but same thing, we kind of did a circuit using this. So thank you guys for watching, and hope you learned.